I have now taken over 25 rides in a fully self-driving car. If you don't live in a city that has them, you might not realize how quickly this one company is expanding. And it's this. Waymo. Yeah, you've heard of them, probably from them honking at each other or being set on fire, but actually, they work really well. Like it or not, Waymo is quickly taking over cities. They're already doing 200,000 rides a week, and they're only in 4 cities: San Francisco, LA, Phoenix, and Austin. And very soon, they will also be in Miami and Atlanta. These cars aren't just a cool little gimmick. They might be able to change the entire landscape of our cities as we know it. As someone who honestly doesn't enjoy driving that much or being in car-centric areas as a pedestrian, I was super excited to see Waymo had come to LA. I started to envision a city with less parking lots and more parks, more space to build housing. I love this idea of taking our city back from cars and making it more human-centered again. But the more I researched for this video and really dug into creating it, the more I realized there's a couple issues with this vision of self-driving cars taking over the city. Will robo-taxis actually make our cities more human-centered, or will they just reinforce car culture? The issue is not with the cars themselves. They're actually really comfortable. Oftentimes, they're cheaper than Uber or Lyft. On Waymo, it is currently $27. Uber is telling me $46. Are you serious? And Lyft is saying $38. I've noticed that majority of the time, Waymo is a little bit cheaper, but during peak hours, it can be more expensive. And the data shows so far, they're a lot safer than human drivers. If you haven't been in one, you're probably nervous about taking one for the first time. And let me show you how it usually goes. The first 3 minutes, people are pretty nervous. They're observing everything the car does. Then they see it's actually a really smooth and safe driver. And within 10 minutes, people are back on their phones, fully trusting this thing, not even paying attention. So not only are they statistically safer at driving, but they also eliminate the risk of drivers that have bad intentions towards passengers. So this right here is Lyft's safety report. We can see just in 2022, there was 1,038 sexual assault reports. That's worse than I thought. 135 of those were non-consensual sexual penetration. So rape. It is still very rare, but whether it happens or not, that fear is always present, and that's a real thing too. Waymos are also just more comfortable. You have complete control over the temperature, the music, you don't have to talk to anyone. You can ride shotgun and it doesn't feel awkward like it kind of would in an Uber. Yeah, you could do it, but I'm never actually doing that. I, for one, really like the privacy. I feel like I can just relax in these in a way that I can't in an Uber. And you just get that time back from your day that you would have normally spent driving. Pretty often when I take a Waymo, I get some editing done on my phone. Driving is actually pretty draining. My Oura Ring always says I'm stressed out. Yeah, I'm just sitting there. I'm not burning any calories. I would much rather rest and relax or get some work done on my phone. Just nice to have the time back. And honestly, even if I just wanted to do nothing and scroll on TikTok, that's valid too. So the issue with self-driving cars has nothing to do with the product themselves, but really to do with the bigger vision, which, remember, is a city based less around cars. More specifically, less around parking. This is an idea that Tesla was really promoting when they did their robo-taxi presentation, basically saying if cars can drive themselves, we will have less need for parking. So the elephant in the room is that the only way it's possible to actually reduce the parking is if we share the self-driving cars. Yeah, I know. I don't really want to do it either. Everyone I talk to wants to own their own self-driving car. There are benefits to not owning a car. The average cost to own one in California is over $1,000 a month. I myself pay about $400 a month when it comes to parking, charging, and insurance. And I have the car fully paid off, so I can see how it could become $1,000 a month. If you live in a walkable part of the city, it might actually be cheaper to not have a car and just use a combo of walking, e-bikes, rideshare, and public transit. As someone who works from home, lives in a pretty walkable area, I'm sure there are months where it's actually more expensive to own a car than to just Uber around or take Waymos. But for most people in Los Angeles, this isn't really realistic. If you have a long commute, it would quickly add up and you'd be paying way more for rideshare. That's why most people just want to own their own car. If each person has their own self-driving car, it really won't change how cities look at all. Some studies show that it could actually cause more traffic from them cruising around. If the car drops you off and then goes all the way back home, that's a lot of miles driven with no one in the car, causing more traffic on the road. This is called deadheading, and studies have showed that Uber and Lyft increase traffic a little bit from this, but if each person owned their self-driving car, it would be way worse. More likely, the self-driving cars will still park pretty close to us, so we'll still have to dedicate a lot of space to parking. Studies show that for every one car, there's actually 9 parking spots in a city. That's a lot of space dedicated to cars. and not people. Let's take a look at Santa Monica today, for example. An area known for the beach, of course, by everyone around the world. But if you live here, you might know it as Parking Central. Santa Monica has a lot of parking. Parking on the beach, parking structures, lots scattered about all over the place. Most of the time, these are not even close to full, though there are a few days of the year when it's extremely hot that they are pretty much full. But what if we didn't need this much space dedicated to parking? With shared self-driving cars, we really wouldn't need nearly as much parking. Rather than parking when you arrive, you'd get out of your self-driving car and it can go pick up the next person, not needing to park in this prime real estate. So what will the city do with some of these unneeded parking structures? We can actually already see, because the city of Santa Monica recently demolished parking structure 3 to make way for something different. And they didn't just do this for the hell of it. The structure was so old, it was going to require $4 million for earthquake proofing. So they did a study to see, do we even need this parking garage anymore? They've added so many new ones in the last few years that they realized, no, we don't. We can demolish it. So what is it now? It's temporarily being used as a pickleball complex. This is not its final form, however. The ultimate plan is it's going to be an affordable housing apartment complex that has ground floor retail. I know people have mixed feelings about these types of lottery systems, but in my opinion, any type of housing is probably better than a parking lot. This is just one example of how the space can be reused if it's not for parking. Am I a little salty they didn't make tennis courts? Yes, but still, pickleball, better than a parking lot. We'll take it. Another example we're already seeing is turning old parking lots into parks. Exposition Park in downtown LA has been undergoing a renovation. It had a lot of parking, a lot of concrete. They're in the process of putting the parking underground so that they could expand the green space. This works especially well here because there's a metro stop right by. And the same thing is the case with this park in Santa Monica that used to be a parking lot. I would say this is a much more pleasant use of space and just makes it more enjoyable to visit the area. I took a trip to this park and it's really nicely done. It's beautifully landscaped. It's got walking and biking trails, a playground, and just a bunch of spots you can lay out on the grass. I do think this is way better than a parking lot. The thing about these parks though is they've been developed or in the process of development before self-driving cars got here. So it's not like we necessarily need self-driving cars to do this. The thing that made this park more possible than anything was probably the fact that there's a metro stop right by. So shared self-driving cars would free up some space to do more of this kind of thing, but there is an argument that robo-taxis just reinforce car culture because, well, they're still cars, which take up much more space than humans, even when usually there's only one person in there. Just because they drive themselves doesn't mean they're the most efficient way to get a lot of people from point A to point B. The thing that actually makes cities more walkable and more human-centered is public transportation. Think about it, you can fit about 200 people in a train car that's about 87 feet long. That same amount of people in separate cars would take up 3,000 feet of space. Robo-taxis just don't have as much as an impact on making our cities walkable as public transportation does. And this is really the second issue with robo-taxis taking over. People worry that it will take away interest in funding from expanding public transit, the thing that will actually make our cities walkable. And the thing is, even if you hate public transit and never take it yourself, you still benefit from it because it gets so many more cars off the road. And while the public transportation in LA has gotten more extensive, it's still not built out in a way that makes it a real option for most people. So I don't think Waymo is the perfect solution. I don't think it's a better alternative than public transit, but maybe they can work together. For now, Waymo could fill in the gaps where public transit doesn't quite reach. But I don't think that we should view it as the replacement for public transit. I think we should continue to expand that if we really want to take back our city and make it more human-centered rather than car-centered. Public transit, the reality of it in this city, near impossible. Yes, it's grown, but still the majority of people in these areas don't live walking distance to a station. So to take it, they would have to drive, and a lot of the stations don't have any parking. As you can see, not a single parking spot at this one. And listen, I'm not saying parking spots are the answers. If anything, quite the opposite, just expanding the transit line. But let's be real, that's going to take decades, and who knows if it'll ever even get there. This is a hypothetical map someone made of what it could look like one day. This would allow people to really go carless. In the meantime, Waymo allows people a comfortable and safe way to get to a station without having to park. The other issue with the train is that it's very slow. It's almost always faster to drive. If you're going to go from Santa Monica to downtown, it's going to take you 57 minutes because the train stops 18 times. And also because for this line, they built a light rail train. These go a lot slower and sometimes they have to actually stop for traffic lights.
Average speed said about 10 miles per hour. It really didn't go that fast.
What they really need to do is build more of the underground subways. There is one that goes from downtown to North Hollywood and it goes much faster. It's just, in my opinion, pointless to even build these light rails. They're so slow, I would just rather drive. There are plans to connect the west side to Van Nuys and they're considering an underground train. Hopefully they go with it because the other option is just going to be so slow, no one will want to take it. Here's the reality. Public transit is going to take decades to build out in LA, maybe longer. Maybe it won't ever really happen like this. Waymo is actually here today and it does give us a safer and more comfortable way to get around. But I just don't think we should look at it as the end-all be-all solution. So for now, I'm keeping my car. I'm not able to go fully carless quite yet. Maybe one day in the future. A girl can dream, but I'm definitely gonna take Waymo when I have the option to over Uber and Lyft. And personally, I'm still rooting for an expanded train line in LA, even if it takes till 2060. Okay, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.